All right, we're back. We're back. I haven't done my intro in a while. I haven't done my intro in a while. Why are you guys here?
It didn't come back for the cocaine. It came back face.
Came back for the base. So this Nick Saban topic has been gaining a lot of steam. I spoke about it on me and Truck and Chubsy um, video that we did Saturday. Please go check that out. Talked about some really interesting stuff on there. I've seen some other people kind of talk about it. And the point that is kind of hanging me up is this talk of revenue sharing, right? Revenue sharing. And Nick Saban isn't the first person that said that. Jim Harbaugh has been someone that has been banging that particular drum himself. Now, the thing about revenue sharing, and I think what kind of muddies the water is when individuals say, okay, well, college football is making this much money, they're doing all of this, they're doing all this, and you're talking about the gross. You're not talking about the net, right? You're not talking about the net. And I think that's where the water gets really murky because, truth be told, a lot of these athletic departments are not actually turning a profit year over year. They're deficit spending. And I'm not trying to take the universities off of the hook because if y'all want to go out and build these elaborate football only facilities or basketball only facilities, or if you want to go out here and build a brand new stadium or add, expand a pre-existing stadium, hey, knock yourself out. I'm not here to defend you in any shape, form, or fashion. The point that I'm trying to make is that revenue sharing, in my opinion, will bring down the actual value or bring down the actual dollar amount that these particular athletes will get because the whole purpose of NIL is name, image, and likeness. Now I don't have to go back down this path because I've said this a long time ago. I said if it was truly NIL, then it's only a handful of players that will actually get it. The rest of this is pay for play, right? And the pay for play aspect of it has nothing to do with the universities, right? This is where these particular collectives and these things come in at. But when you start moving over to revenue sharing, now you're taking the onus off of these particular, collectives, and you're trying to put it over here towards, okay, well, this is the school paying for this, right? So when you break down revenue sharing, right, it's two different, you can get them interchanged. You got revenue sharing and you got profit sharing, right? Profit sharing is what you get after all of the expenses. Revenue sharing means that, look, and you can break it down. You can break it down 50-50. I saw you can do it royalty based, which obviously is going to be performance based and things like that. And you are responsible for the profits and the losses, right? So if you go to an incentive based system, right, similar to what the NFL is doing, it's, I don't know, light keeps moving. Anyway, it's similar to what I've heard people say that the University of Georgia is doing, what Ohio State is doing, where this like, look, we're not going to give you all this guarantee money up front. We're going to see what you are. This is what you'll get coming in, and if you meet these particular expectations, you can increase the value. Now, all universities are not doing it, or all collectives are not doing it. Let me put the universities over here to a side. Now, the problem to me with the incentive based thing, especially in college football, is the fact that you have you have so many more players. So you let's say for instance you got three safeties on the team, right? And obviously you've paid to get those particular guys here. They're both all three of them are 4 and 5 stars. And the incentive is they gotta get this many tackles, this many interceptions, they gotta do this, do this. And it's not like the NFL because in the NFL, the first and second string, is definitive. Okay, you're the definitively the starter. Whereas in college, may not be that big of a gap. So then you start controlling reps, and I think that's where an issue comes in that when you have you do an incentive based type of system, you know. But I don't know. And then obviously, when you add in recruiting, you have promises, favoritism, booster involvement. Because I said this on one of my shows. if you ask me to give you 100K for a player and that player doesn't pan out, then you come back the following year, ask me for another 100K. I, as a booster or a person that's financing this, I have to really sit back and say, okay, well, are you actually evaluating these guys properly, right? Because I just gave you 100K, the guy didn't play. When you may have pushed him in the lineup and it didn't look good. Gave up a touchdown, or he missed the interception, or he threw some interceptions, right? So I mean, it's really tricky, right? And then the other problem with revenue sharing is that the income isn't predictable, right? And it becomes more of a excuse me. It's like regular, like just like a regular business, right? You're trying to drive profit by cutting losses, right? Trying to cut losses wherever you can. And so these are the things that you got to take into consideration when you talk about revenue sharing, which, again, I'm not completely in agreement with it. And I got a question I got to ask. Let me write this down because I forgot to put this. I forgot to put this down. Bear with me. 'Cause I wanted to make a video about that, right? So these are the things that are involved with the revenue sharing, right? So think about this, right? Think about improvements to the locker room, stadium expansion, new equipment, um, fuel prices to fly, hotel prices based on city, restaurant selections where you eat at, new hires, raises in pay to keep guys there. All of that stuff is tied into revenue, revenue sharing, right? So I did a little research, right? And this is what's interesting to me, right? So currently, and this is not including the team chaplain or anything. Currently, there are 65 people employed for the Miami Hurricane coaching staff on the Mario Cristobal. 65, and obviously, it's increasing. Al Golden had 47. That's including the chaplain. So we've increased the coaching staff since 2015. Al Golden's last year. Well, not coaching staff, but football personnel. And I'm sure, again, like I said, that number is going to increase. So every time you give someone else a job, that's some of the revenue being taken away, right? Anytime you give someone a raise to keep them from maybe going somewhere else, or to, again, entice them to stay, that cuts into that particular revenue, right? So you gotta think about all these particular things, right? Because like I said, a lot of these athletic, things are operating at a deficit. Now, not saying that, but like I said, but you can kind of see how the players are not going to get as much as they feel, but this will make it a little bit more structured. But again, like I say for instance, like right now, Miami is looking to build a football only complex, right? So over the next couple of years, they're going to be putting money. Well, the money is there for that, right? But obviously, you're not going to get as much. Whereas you may have a Clemson or something like that, they have some extra cash because they're not doing that, right? I think I look at it similar to like a company that says, look, we got all this extra cash on hand. So instead of putting it into the business, we're going to pay it out via dividend, right? So, that's the way I look at it, right? I mean, profit sharing, it'll be good, but again, all of that is involved in making the product better. So that goes into prime TV slots. That goes into the opponent that you play, the time of the day that you play. So you got all these particular different things, and teams are going to be fighting and all that stuff. To me, I think the product could be better, but everyone isn't going to benefit. And I think all these things have to be taken into consideration. Now, again, like I say, this will be a lot more structured than what's going on right now. But I don't think the players will see as much money as they are seeing right now, right? And so that's my whole thing. And so the question I wanted to ask, Streeter asked Coach Hayes a question on their Hayes Street the other day, and he asked him. He said, "Do you like the old way, pre-portal, pre-NIL? Well, yeah, NIL, Do you like that better? Or do you like current system better, right? And so they differed in the answer. Streeter was like, he kind of likes the new way because think about it. You got a Cam Ward that's here and the excitement that you want in terms of that. And then obviously, Coach Hayes was kind of like, okay, I kind of like the older way, right? And so me, I like the new way. But the only reason I like the new way is because to me it's defined right now that it is win now, right? You're in a new day and age. It's not about trying to build a roster up for 4 to 5 years. It's like nah, because you don't know if the roster's gonna be here for 4 or 5 years, right? And shout out to Flo because I was listening to Flo the other day, and I kind of disagree with this point, right? Oh, well, not disagree, but I thought it was an interesting point because Flo was kind of talking about, hey, how the team could look in 2025, 2026. And I don't like thinking that far ahead because, again, we don't know who's going to be here. You know what I'm saying? Guys can up and leave. A recruiting class might not hit like it's supposed to hit, so that could set some things back. Guys leave, guys are recruited over. You just never know. But I like the win now attitude, right? So I like the current level, and to me, it is even more indicative of the point that you have to be a fan of the team. Players aside, you got to take your personal favorites and say, look, you may be my favorite, I like you or whatever the situation is, but I got to push that to the side. And I think that's one of the issues people don't like is that they don't like the NFL type of mindset where it's like, okay, you may be here for a year or two and then you're gone, or you may just be here for a year and they trade you away or whatever the situation is. At least in college, I'm guaranteed to get you at least a minimum of 3 years. But right now, I don't care. I like it this way because I think it helps. It minimizes, in my opinion, it minimizes a lot of excuses that people like to conjure up. Because it's like, look, you don't have to sit here and wait for someone to develop. You can go out there and go get somebody. You just have to bid for them, right? And you have to be able to sell them on their earning potential, right? So I like that. You know what I mean? But obviously, if we didn't have NIL, I would prefer the older way, doing things. You kind of get to grow with the guys. And I spoke about this on another video where I was like, if Jacoby George and Xavier Restrepo would have been freshmen last year, we wouldn't have get to see this ascension that they have right now because more than likely they would have been recruited over because both guys have dealt with injuries. Obviously, Jacoby George has dealt with some off the field type of things. So we would have missed that because you would have been recruited over. We would have went and got someone out of the portal, which we did go get guys out of the portal, but it didn't work out. But anyway, like the video says, man, or the title of the video, Nick Saban essentially said what other coaches can't say because Nick is out of the game. Right? You can't. Brian Kelly couldn't say these things. Lincoln Riley, Lane Kiffin, none of these guys could say those things because you would essentially tank your program. And then I think you got some. And I don't like bringing this in it, but you got the whole race-based talk where it's like, oh, well, y'all only saying this because it's young black men making money. I don't like getting into that type of stuff, right? And I think too many people may go that direction. I'm not going that direction, right? I don't I don't personally think that's what it is. I think it's more so the fact that it's like my guy, what's the head coach from Maryland? Like, bro, why is the third string running back coming telling me, hey, look, I need 300K, bro? You third string. That has nothing to do with a bias to you making money. It's like, look where you are on the totem pole. Now, I will say this: a shoelace broken here, third string guy can become the number one guy, can become the best guy. But currently sitting, if you're third string, bro, you ain't got no reason to be coming to ask me for nothing like that, right? And I'll say this, right? I know people were talking about how can Nick Saban say this, and these players are getting challenges and charges and stuff like that. And yeah, you're right. But how much is a challenger? How much is a charger compared to someone asking you for 500K? That's a big difference. we're talking about in 2007. We're probably talking about what, a $30,000 car at the time, right? Now, obviously, you got the Hellcats and stuff. Now they 60, 70. You know, they discontinued. So if you're probably trying to buy it on the resale market, you probably talking close to 80 something, 90 something $1,000. But that's what you're talking about. You can't. I'm not going to compare $30,000 or $40,000 to $500,000. I'm not going to do it. Now, obviously, of course, you do got the story of Tua. You know, the family moving from Hawaii to Tuscaloosa. Now, I don't know if they footed the entire bill. They didn't have to work or anything like that. But and I think one of the linemen or something, they moved his mom out of an area or something. And I'm sure there's a couple more stories like that. But again, we're not talking about $500,000. We ain't talking about a million. That's these. They're false equivalencies in my opinion, right? Now people can disagree with it or whatever, but I'm not about to compare $30,000 to somebody asking me for 500 or 300 or even 100. I'm not about to compare that, man. I'm not. Um, but that's all I got to say in this video. We will be doing a Canes Roundtable tonight, spring break edition. Let me get to my page, got my notes, get a heads up of the topics. So we're gonna talk about the big thing about guys. Our guys just went. Some declared for the draft that many people felt they shouldn't have, and they're saying, well, with NIL they could have stayed. So my question is, well, how do you know that they would have agreed to give them an NIL that would have been substantial enough to cover, what they be making in the league? Pro day performances that guys improve. There's a rumor that there's over 100 players on the team, so we'll discuss that. And the big one, how much better is Cam Ward than Tyler Van Dyke? That'll stir up the crowd a little bit. But anyway, man, that'll be K's Roundtable tonight, 7 p.m. Central Standard Time. I wanted to do one Sunday. I couldn't do it Sunday. Wanted to do it yesterday. Couldn't do it yesterday. So we're doing it today. Right, we're doing it today. So, but that's it, man. So like, share, subscribe, and please comment. Please comment. Peace.